So what is compound interest? Well, in this video, we're going to have a look at what compound interest is and see how it relates to simple interest. So let's begin. Now, before we get into compound interest, let's quickly break down simple interest on a year-by-year basis, having a look at how much interest is being paid each year and the account balance after each year. Now here, we're investing $1,000 into a simple interest account at 10% per annum, payable yearly. Now, to work out the interest paid in this situation, what we've actually got to do is look at what is 10% of $1,000. To find 10% of $1,000, that's 0.1 times $1,000, which will equal $100. Now, to find out our new account balance, we simply have to take the initial principal of $1,000 and add the interest that we earned for that year. So that's $1,000 plus $100, which will equal $1,100. Now, when we begin calculating the interest for the second year, we still calculate that based off the initial balance or the initial principal that we invested. So we're still finding what 10% of $1,000 is, which we know to be $100. Now, our new account balance is going to be the $1,100 that we had after 1 year, plus the $100 that we just earned in interest, so our new account balance becomes $1,200. On the third year, the same thing occurs. It's going to be 10% interest multiplied by the initial balance invested, which is $1,000. So the interest paid is going to be $100. To work out the account balance, that's going to be $1,200 from after year 2. Add our interest of $100, which will give us an account balance of $1,300. Now, that's simple interest. Let's take a look at how that compares to compound interest. So let's say instead I invest this $1,000 into a compound interest account where the interest is at 10% still per annum, however, that interest is compounding yearly. Now, our first year begins the same. We need to work out what 10% of our balance is. So that's 0.1 times the $1,000. Just like last time, that equals $100, and our account balance is going to be the initial principal we invested of $1,000 plus the interest that we just earned of $100, which will be $1,100. Now, this is where compound interest begins to differ from simple interest. On year 2, compound interest works out the interest earned off of the current account balance. So that 10% is actually going to multiply our current account balance of $1,100. So what that means is, instead of $100 interest that was earned here, it's actually going to be $110 interest on the second year. Our account balance is going to be the $1,100 that we had after year 1, plus the $110 that was earned as interest on our second year. So therefore, our new account balance is going to be $1,210. The third year is calculated the same. We work out what 10% interest of our current balance of $1,210 is. Now, that is going to be $121. To work out the account balance, we take our balance after year 2 of $1,210 and add the $121 that we just earned in interest. So that in total is going to be $1,331. Now let's take a moment to compare simple interest that I have on my left here with the compound interest that I have on my right. With simple interest, that 10% interest rate always gets charged onto the initial balance of the account. So every year the interest paid will be the same because the balance that was initially invested does not change. However, compound interest applies its 10% interest onto the current account balance. So after the first year, both interest accounts will be the same. However, it's when it gets to the second and third year that compound interest starts changing. And that's because the interest rate is being applied to a different account balance. Now, why don't you give it a try? Here, I've got a practice problem for you, where $5,000 is invested into a compound interest account where the interest rate is 12% per annum. That interest rate's compounding yearly. I want you to complete this table below showing the interest paid and the account balance each year for 3 years.